Today we'll be solving the remove lonely numbers problem. And if we look at the problem description, it states that given a list of integers, return a list such that there are no longer any lonely numbers. And we define lonely numbers to be those that have values to the left and right of it, while both of these values are different from the current integer. And the lonely number will be replaced by whichever value to its left or right is larger. And if we just take a quick look at the function description, we can see that remove lonely numbers has the following parameter, which is LST, and LST is a list of integers. So the first thing we want to do is take a look at the sample case and the sample input. If we imagine that LST, which is our list, contains the numbers 1, 2, and 3, we know that 1 isn't going to be lonely because it doesn't have any values to the left of it, and 3 isn't going to be lonely because it doesn't have any values to the right of it. But 2 is going to be lonely because it does have values to the left and right of it, and the values to the left and right of it are both different. So then we choose to replace 2 with the value that is greater, which is 3 because 3 is greater than 1. And our sample output is then 1, 3, and 3. So then if we go ahead and try coding up a solution to this, as I mentioned, the first number in the list will never be lonely, and the last number of the list will also never be lonely. So if we want to loop in the list in the appropriate indices that correspond to that, we're going to start at 1 because lists are zero index based, meaning 0 is going to index to the first element of the list. So we want to actually start at 1, and we want to go until the length of the list minus 1. While normally we would go until the length of the list because range is exclusive, meaning it does not include the second number, we want to go until the second to the last element of the list, meaning we're going to go until length of the list minus 1. So here, what do we want to do? We want to check, is the current number I'm looking at in the list different from both the one that comes before it and the one that comes after it? Well, if we write that in Python, it would look something like this. So if LSTI, which is the current element of the list, is different from the one that comes before it, and if the current element that we're looking at is also different from the one that comes after it, then we're going to replace it with the one that comes before it if the one that comes before it is greater than the one that comes after it. Otherwise, we're going to replace it with the one that comes after it. So this will go through the entire list and just check, is the current number a lonely number? And if it is a lonely number, then we'll replace it with the one that's bigger. The value that's bigger from either the left or the right. And once the for loop is done, then we know that we've removed all of the lonely numbers, so we can just return LST. Now if we click run and see, we can see that our output matches the expected output, and if we run all of the test cases, we will see that once test case 1 is done loading, all available test cases have passed. So then we can just click this. We can just click submit code because I feel pretty satisfied with the solution, and we can move on to the next problem.